Hello, it is Tuesday, May the 8th, the year 2012, and as usual, a lot to get to in the sports world, so let's get it going right now. We have to start last night in the NHL, Game 5, Rangers-Capitals, and when you look back on a season, when you're a team, there's always that one game that switches everything around, and this was the game. The Capitals led 2-1, closing moments of the game. The Rangers pull Lundqvist, so it's 6-on-5. The Capitals, Ward then takes a penalty, a 4-minute double minor, so now it's 6-on-4. Brad Richards with the big goal as time is running out to force the game into overtime. And then in overtime, because of the double minor carrying over, the second 2 minutes carried over into the overtime. The Rangers have a power play. Stahl scores for the Rangers, and the Rangers pull a game out and win 3-2, and they go up 3-2 in the series. This is a game the Capitals will lament for a long, long time. I mean, this is such a swing game. The Capitals should have won this game. They should be up 3-2. Heading to Washington to possibly wrap it up tomorrow in Washington. Instead, they're down 3-2. They now have to win 2 games, including Game 6 and Game 7 in Madison Square Garden. This game was a horrible loss for Washington and an incredible, improbable win for the Rangers. So this is a game, when you look back on the season, this could be the turning point of both teams' season. Now, having said that, Washington has been resilient. They were resilient against Boston. They've been resilient in this series. They dropped Game 1. They dropped Game 3 in that long overtime. They came back both times. They came back against Boston. Washington has shown a lot of resiliency, so I wouldn't count them out yet. But having said that, this is a devastating loss for Washington. And it's funny, Washington has had a history of having just awful losses in the playoffs, and this is no exception here. Once again, in a big spot, Washington just comes up short. Maybe this team is different. Maybe they rally. I think they're going to win Game 6 because they're home. I think the Rangers are going to win in Game 7. But having said that, this game was such a turning point in the series, and just an awful loss for Washington. Great win for the Rangers. Terrible double minor penalty by Ward. He makes it 6-on-4 in regulation, lets the Rangers tie it up there. Then the penalty carries over into overtime and Stahl scores. So in a blink of an eye, the Capitals went from up 3-2 to down 3-2. And how about the Stahl brothers? I mean, all 3 Stahls in the NHL are really good players. Pittsburgh Stahl has won a cup. Carolina Stahl has won a cup. And now the Rangers Stahl could win a cup. So the Stahl brothers, very good hockey players. Tremendous game last night. Once again, for those of you that have not been watching the NHL, please watch a game, especially in the playoffs. The NHL playoffs is just as dramatic as it gets. No exception last night with the Rangers and the Capitals. Game 6 tomorrow in Washington. We'll see what Washington comes up with, if they are resilient or not. Okay, moving on. Phoenix wrapped up their series with Nashville. They won 4-1. Unbelievably, Phoenix and the LA Kings are in the Western Conference Final. I mean, both of these teams struggled to get into the playoffs. The Kings were the 8th seed. Phoenix had to win their last 5 games of the year to get into the playoffs. Nobody had this final, Phoenix and LA, but the goaltenders for both teams have been incredible. These games should be 1-0, 2-1, all the games. Smith for Phoenix, unbelievable. Quick for the Kings, unbelievable. These guys are giving up nothing. Should be a low-scoring, tight series. Phoenix with the home ice. It's good to see also that Phoenix is getting a nice crowd. I mean, there was talk about that team moving. They weren't drawing well in Glendale. It's nice to see a full house. Everyone was decked out in white. They seemed really into it. It's nice to see the Coyotes finally getting a nice crowd, and the Coyotes have never been this far in the playoffs in their history. So Phoenix, LA, that'll be the Western Conference Finals. Tonight in the NHL, Devils, Flyers. Devils are up 3-1. Game 5 in Philly tonight. Is Philly going to, stay alive tonight? Giroux suspended for the Flyers. That's not good. The Devils have done an incredible job in this series. I never thought they'd be up 3-1 at this point, so we'll see if the Devils can close them out tonight or the Flyers, get back into this series. Who knows? Moving on to the NBA. the NBA has been an absolute snorefest in this first round. There is no drama whatsoever. I mean, there is nothing going on. Last night, the Spurs sweep out the Jazz, 4 straight, nothing to talk about there. Spurs head and shoulders above them. Oklahoma City has already swept Dallas. The Clippers go up 3-1 against Memphis. Memphis, again, in a big spot, can't get it done. They actually rally to get the game in overtime, and then in overtime they fall short. The Memphis could have won all 4 of these games. Instead, they won 1. They blow a 27-point lead in Game 1. They blow the 6-point lead in Game 3 with a few minutes left. And last night, they lose in overtime. So out of 4 games, they could have won. They could have won at least 2 of them. Instead, they win 1. They could have won 4. I mean, just Memphis has to be scratching their heads here. How is this? How are they down 3 games to 1? This series should be at least 2-2, at least 2-2, and give the Clippers, give the Clippers credit. Chris Paul makes all the big shots. Blake Griffin was tremendous last night. In overtime, a lot of offensive rebounds led to extra possessions for the Clippers, and the Clippers make all the plays down the stretch, and Memphis does not. The Clippers have Chris Paul, who's a star. Blake Griffin is going to be a star. Memphis has a bunch of nice players, no star. Gasol's a nice player. He's not a star. He only had 8 points last night. That's not good enough. I mean, Conley had a nice game last night, but you never know if you're going to get that game to game. Mayo, not so much last night. Zach Randolph looked like he was fatigued last night. Rudy Gay, who you would say is Memphis' best player, is not a superstar. He did have a good fourth quarter, but I expect more from Rudy Gay, especially with the money they're paying him. So Memphis has a lot of nice players, no one superstar, while the Clippers have Chris Paul and Blake Griffin. So they have 1 superstar already and 1 in the making. That's been the difference down the stretch in these games. So Memphis has to be scratching their heads. How are they down 3-1? So the Clippers are up 3-1 there. That series now has very little drama. LA Denver tonight. LA's up 3-1. That has no drama. Bulls Sixers. Sixers are up 3-1. No drama. Noah out. Rose out. Boston, Atlanta, no drama now. Boston's up 3-1. Atlanta just looks like they're in a quagmire. Josh Smith is, playing, but he's hurt. Horford just coming back from the injury. Joe Johnson invisible in a big spot. So no drama there. Indy, Orlando, 3-1 Indy. I mean, it's a miracle Orlando even won a game. No drama there at all. So the NBA, very little drama. I don't think we're going to get any Game 7s. I mean, we may not even get any Game 6s here while we're at it. So NBA, I mean, let's get to the next round where things will pick up. But right now, no drama in the NBA whatsoever. Moving on to the baseball last night. Just a couple little things. The Mets beat Philly last night. Every time you think the Mets are going to go off the cliff and just have a terrible, terrible losing record and they're just going to lose a million games, they bounce back. I mean, they lost a few games in a row. Now they've won 3 in a row. The Mets overall have done a decent job considering how bad they were supposed to be. They beat the Phillies last night. They win 3 in a row. They're 3 games over 500. So the Mets have been a little resilient so far. I like what they're doing. The Phillies just have to get healthy. I mean, they need Cliff Lee back. They need Howard back. They need Utley back now. Hamels is suspended, which he should have been for 1 game. You can't come out publicly and say he's trying to hit somebody. He deserved the 1 game. That'll be, he'll just miss 1 start there. Tonight, Yankees, Tampa. Very interesting. The Yankees have not played well so far this year. Tampa Bay has been flying, so interesting to see that series. Miami wins again. Miami goes from last week 6 games under to now 1 game over, so they've turned it around. Rangers bombed Baltimore last night. Baltimore came with the best record in baseball, and the Rangers said, not so fast. We're still the top dogs in the American League. Rangers pound the Orioles last night. The Tigers, what's going on with them? They're winning 2-0 in Seattle last night. They give up 3 runs and they lose again. They're 14-14. They should be much better than that. It is early, but not impressed with Detroit so far this year. And the Indians have done a nice job. They take a doubleheader from the White Sox last night. They are 6 games over 500. The Indians have done a decent job. So that's just a few things in the baseball world I wanted to touch on. Tonight, I guess the must-watch, I mean, there's nothing that's really a must-watch, but to me, I guess Devils-Flyers, to see if the Devils can close it out and the Flyers, can make a series of this. As far as the NBA, I don't know what you'd want to watch tonight. Bulls, Sixers, impossible. Indy, Orlando, impossible. LA, Denver, I mean, maybe you want to see what celebrities are sitting there. Boston, Atlanta, maybe. I mean, I don't know. It's a rough go tonight with the NBA, but I would say Devils, Flyers is worth a look. Baseball, especially here in New York, I would say maybe Yankees, Tampa, but until we get to the next round in the NBA now, a little slow there, so it's kind of hurting the sports night. But anyway, that's about it for today. You guys stay safe, enjoy the games tonight, and we will talk tomorrow. Take care.